Hello, good people of the internet. Thanks for tuning in to first episode of the Only Mystics Journey with your host, O.M.J Junkins, aka Dan Jenkins. And if we're ever forced to fight in the gladiator arena of future, Dannicus Junkins. So this interview is with Dr. Richard Allen Miller, who is, in my opinion, an absolute gold mine of experience, knowledge, intuition. This guy meditates 2 hours every day since 1979. And that's the kind of guy I want to talk to, you know? He's written so many books, and he talks in a way that is, he's taught, so he has that directional voice, that speaking, that presence. But his books are so well organized and laid out in a manner that just shows me his internal dialogue and internal resources of the many different avenues of study and, I think, mastery he's pursued has allowed for him to almost be a bit forgotten from what he's put forward into humanity, what he's contributed. So I'm very excited for you guys to get to know him through me hosting the shows, asking the questions, and I think we brought out a really, really great side of his information and went to some very interesting places that I wanted to go to, such as ET encounters, magic, alchemy, agriculture, mushrooms. He showed us some of his books that he's collected because he's an avid book collector. He's also showed us books that he's working on. And I really want to get his works out there. I think they're so dense and so rich that it's almost overwhelming. But hopefully today we make it approachable, and kind of the mystical view, which I explained in the podcast, is bringing fascination and awe to the subjects that we study. So yesterday, we talked to a man that is a polymath, a solid state physicist, a metaphysicist, an agriculturalist, a herbalist, an author, an inventor, a mycologist, and shout out to the Higher Side Chats for the wonderful intros that he did. Great Carlwood. So yeah, hope to follow in the footsteps of the greats. And enough from me. Enjoy the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Only Mystics Journey podcast with your host, O.M.J Junkins, aka Dan Jenkins. That's me. And today I am joined by some very special guests. We have Dr. Richard Allen Miller in the house, who we're very happy to have. And we also have his friend Christian, right? Was it? Yes, Christian. And your last name was?
Last name Beck.
Christian Beck, yes. So these two have been friends for quite a while. They've done some survival skills workshops together in California, I believe. And that's what we're bringing in today. We're going to be doing hopefully a series of shows with Mr. Rick and with special guests along the way. And we're looking to learn a lot, learn more about who Dr. Richard Allen Miller is, his experience, where he's learned all of this knowledge through his extraordinary life. And I'm going to be showcasing some of his books, the books that I have personally. I'll show one quickly, which is Power Tools. It is Tools for the 21st Century, and it's a very, very all-inclusive work.
Let me add something.
Yeah, so please, I'm going to pass it over.
Okay, you don't learn something, you study it, because learning is rote. Study is when you make it yours. You take my information and you integrate it into your needs, because we're all different and we all do things differently. And that's your first lesson, the distinction between learning something and studying it.
Right. Well, and so I am a student of language, at least the English language. I understand the little details like you're laying out and how that can really open and speak deeper to our subconscious, right? So I'm very excited to get into this today. So the first thing I want to go into is obviously your works here, Power Tools, because these are books that I bought. And just to start it off, a few months ago when there was the blackouts that were happening in Portugal and in Europe. I looked at my girlfriend. I was like, you know what? I think it's time we order Dr. Richard Allen Miller's books because I know just the one, 31 days. How can you survive off the grid for 30 days? And so that's why we
Now
got
it's
that.
31 Atlas.
31 Atlas. Yes, and
Yeah,
that's,
now it's
I
not
believe.
30, it's 31 Atlas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
Yeah,
goes
so
downhill from there. Yeah.
so maybe let's start. Why did you write this book? Where were you
That
at in your
is
life?
a
And
big pull. Yeah. Nick Begich invited me up to Alaska to get to know me. We had met at Nexus conferences back in Brisbane and Amsterdam, and we got to be friends. Nick Begich is his father was assassinated as a senator when he gave the pipeline to the Tananos, and he brought me up there to start writing again, which I did not know at that time was my true purpose in life, was to lay down footprints on what I'm doing and what I've done. And the first one he did was ESP induction through forms of self-hypnosis. This was my mentor, Stan Krippner, brought me in 1970 to New York to present a paper that I had done on Carolean photography. And at that time, he introduced me to Edgar Mitchell, who then wanted me to do the ESP studies at Mission Control in 1971. And basically, ESP and hypnosis back then were pseudosciences. As it turned out, and this was tested at Duke University, what I discovered was that altered states, the laws of physics change in different altered states. And so I had already studied with Mircea Eliade and was teaching shamanism at the time at the University of Washington and first faculty at Evergreen. And what happened next was I made a discovery. There's an altered state that you can go to, not where you are in consciousness, but somewhere near where your ability in guessing is 400 times where you are right now. And that's how I selected when SEAL Corporation hired me to start the new SEAL program that Kennedy and others had started previously. That was how we selected our first SEAL Team 1. We used our intuition on who we measured their ESP individuals, and that was the first altered state. And you'll notice Power Tools then was the 8 protocols that I gave SEAL program that turned them into supermen. And my point here is, imagine what man could become if he had control of 200 altered states as tools in a toolbox, not for escape and recreation and, oh, well, man, but, but to use them where the laws of physics were different, where you could do things in these states you can't do in conscious state.
Right. And so let's pause right there. So in the workbook number 1, you have exercise 3, basic tests for ESP. So that's in this book
That
here.
workbook 1, yes.
Was that the beginning of the testing that you did with these
Yeah,
Navy
well,
SEAls?
then see what Nick brought me up to do after we did the ESP book. Okay, there's a second edition out now. Was that he wanted to do a thing called the brain spa, where you go in and go to root of belief systems and stuff and change and become whom you want to become. And discovered he couldn't do the writing part because it required more text than he had, using functional MRIs and things of that nature. And so what we ended up doing is writing Power Tools, which were the 8 protocols. And then after that one came out, I did the backup on how that book came together. That was workbook 1. Then I wrote workbook 2, which is where Christian came in. At that time, I think he was the Chamber of Commerce manager for Hollywood, and he brought Matt and I down Kerry Cassidy, others took that workshop, and that's where we did our first off the grid workshops together. Matt subsequently died when he was climbing El Capitan, had an aortic aneurysm. I miss Matt. I do have a replacement. I haven't started working with him yet. He's in a 200-year-old farm across from New York City, and he's got a mobile aquaculture system. We're good to go.
Ruby, right on. So I'll pause you again there. So that is very interesting. So what I liked what you said too about the eight system that you have in here, because it relates to the I Ching, right?
And I used metaphor. That's why to give you a relationship of how to organize it with language. When I was at Groom Lake, by the way, that was not my tour. That was Carol Rosen working under von Braun. I was working under Schleicher, another Nazi, and that's MRU. And this is back in the early 70s. Mm-hmm. And what happened was Krill, K-R-I-L, not the movie Krill, all caps, mm-hmm. requested my presence. She wanted to meet me. And so I did one tour at Groom Lake. And this is how it went. Basically, I came in and I went down 8 floors.
So let me pause right there one sec. So you're talking about an encounter with an extraterrestrial,
with the government,
right? So and this was something to do with a crash.
This was
1974. There was a crash. There was this
Roswell was beings. What happened in Roswell was 2 dead aliens and a dying alien. And then when the dying alien died, they did an autopsy on it, and then they wanted a 4th alien up here wanting the bodies. Why? The bodies could be resurrected because what they are is golem. And the entity they're not, the small body, the bodies at Roswell were small bodies. The one I met was a tall gray.
Right, you said like a long neck and things like that?
Yeah, she was about maybe 8.5 feet tall. And it was feminine. And from that moment on, what happened is I went down 8 floors, had mm-hmm. 1 hour with a pile of top secret documents that I started just reading to prep myself for it, and the door opened. And what happened was, for 20 minutes, we just stood there looking at each other, and they were recording it. They did. I had no memory of what happened after I recognized that she was feminine. And then what happened next is that doors, you can't remember his name as Peter Sellers, but you can almost see his face and you can't quite get at it, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It was like that. And then doors open periodically just before I'll do a podcast or something. And that's one of the reasons why I think Krill was my future programming me.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know that. That's right. Just the sense of what I feel.
Okay, so within this, so you've had a very extraordinary life, and you have a way of thinking that is very in the child mind, right? You're able to access memories and thoughts and organize information in a way that is very unique. And this is also why, for the audience,
but it's not better, it's different. Matt was very linear. When you ask a question, he answers it. When you ask me a question, I'm all over the place, but right. I'm circular. But Matt Stein could eat no fat. His wife could eat no lean, but together.
So as we start this series, we're gonna go slow. We're gonna bring the audience into understanding who you are, because I understand that the world seems to have forgotten a little bit about what your contributions are to humanity, to our future. If there is elements of world changes that are going to happen, and we're going to have to
man will survive.
Man will. And so I want people to understand that you're a polymath, right? You are a different. So what experience do you have in the mathematics realm? Because I like that stuff to build out to understand how this has all gone into farming, how it's gone into the military, how it's gone into, so.
Oh, when I was 60, in 1960, I was almost 16. I was not quite 16. Old man DuPont took me to NASA, and I changed Greek mathematics into English language. I didn't do binary. What I did was NOR-NAND, object-oriented, and or not. It's called NOR-NAND now, but I was already doing logic at 15. I'd already gone through integral variables and calculus and all of the rest of that, and was into logic systems at the time I did that. And Greek mathematics didn't have any back doors. There was Michael James Riconoscuccio, Captain Crunch, and myself that were doing code. And the code part, instead of writing original code, you had a kitchen that would have a refrigerator, a toaster, an oven, groups where you grab and put pieces together for a kitchen. And that's where all your back doors came in, and everything from then on, from pretty good privacy on down, was hackable. And that was possibly done with intent. I don't know about that part. I know that I did at 15, I did NOR-NAND logic.
So you're saying that at 16 years old, you were approached by Old Man DuPont. I've heard the name. I'm not exactly familiar. He brought you to NASA because of your ability with mathematics to understand.
Yeah,
and also,
I see things that people hear. For example, I did 20 years at the BRIT, BRITT, as a gift as the nicest gift I ever gave myself. It's a concerts out in the Redwoods, with Led Zeppelin, whomever playing. And I don't hear music. I actually see it.
Steve Miller, Synthesasia, right? Synthesasia. Synthesasia? You have a chapter about that.
It's called synesthesia.
Synesthesia, right.
And what's happening is most all of us, when we experience something from an altered state, we translate it in terms of one of the five senses, even though it's not like that. And what my brain does is organizes it a little differently. Not better, just different. Collectively, I can work with other people and really make some progress in terms of, because of the way I see things, people don't. And I don't notice things they do.
Right. So
I'm not that good.
So I know that you've worked, you talk a lot about the ball of energy, plasma ball, or the what's that word that you have used before? It's like a something ball, like a buckyball. You said that.
Oh, buckyballs. That's the Monroe papers. Robert Monroe. Excuse me. It's I need
cavitation ball. Cavitation, right?
When Buckminster Fuller started working, he hired Bob Marshall, and Marshall was an idiot savant out of Fort Bragg, California, and nobody could understand him. So he brought me in because of my weirdness, and I was able to understand him. Bob Marshall is the one that invented the buckyball, which I've now written a new screenplay over X-Files. It'll be the Ghosts of Mars. I wrote early X-Files for Fox too, by the way.
I knew that. Yeah, there was a character based off you, right, in the X-Files. But
I didn't want to move to Hollywood when they required me to because it was a hit, and I refused. And so they brought in Carter for the next 9 years, and then I did. I was there up in Canada periodically to say what a forensic lab might look like or something like that. What I was an instrumentation specialist. If I used anything that I touched worked. I just had a sense of electronics,
Yes.
Like, okay.
So yeah.
Go ahead.
Because so within this, I'm trying to build this out. So Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Rick Miller, hilarious. Firstly, just on a
by Rick.
Yeah, Rick. Very funny just to start. I think humor is a big sign of intelligence.
Well, you've got to laugh at what's going on because
absolutely
you would actually get serious about it.
Right. So you have a lot of experience in the military, with NASA, with mathematicians, and so that was sort of an older part of your life, though, right? At some point,
when I came to grad school, they jumped on me like stink on shit, and that's at around I came out of grad school in 1968. Okay, I'd done my MIT and Princeton and was teaching at Harvard. 11 years I taught metaphysics at Harvard, graduate level. And I had this bookstore that I opened because I couldn't find the books I needed to do the research I wanted to do. So I joined Theosophical Society and the usual suspects to get access to some of the older texts. And at some point, I started grabbing different languages. I don't do Hindi, but I do Old Greek and Hebrew. I studied with Gershom Scholem, did my own translations of the Bible, have a sense of what is and is not real, and what I know we can't ever really know because we weren't there. Now that's what I know, and I promise I'll always be to the rules of physics rather than mystical. Now the reason we have two brains is we have IQ and EQ as a metaphor, and EQ is what Krill did, and that's real intelligence. IQ, which I have a high IQ on, is mostly for adaptability, being able to change and fit in, like I am right now.
Yes.
Well, good luck. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Younger kids get me, sort of. They're doing this thing, and we used to do that, and we used to do this, and then we used to do that, and then before that it was this, earlier it was that. All signals. You get the idea. Language is what 20 minutes with Krill and our emotional dialogue is a lifetime of words. And when I came out of that event, Alan Frey and I tried to figure out how they did that. And what we came up with was synthetic telepathy, which is not how they do it. But what that is you take 0.3 to 3 gigahertz and you heterodyne audio on that, and the microwave causes the temporal lobes to heat up and ring, and then you hear voices in your head. And the way to weaponize that is if you turn the audio down, you can't determine whether it's your own thought or you're hearing voices in your head.
Right. So would that be similar to when we do like a psychedelic, like psilocybin mushroom trip, and you start to feel something working on your brain, and you feel, my experience with higher doses is that there was this initial cleaning process. I felt like my thoughts were being dissolved and kind of eaten up. And then at some point there was this clear message that was like being projected through my consciousness.
State, that's just one state of which John Curtis Gowan, in the book you're looking at, the Power Tools, talked about ontology of mystical states, plural. And they're all different, from dimethyltryptamine to whatever. And these are all, that's a new book I'm writing that will sequel the Diamond Body. The Diamond Body was when in 1974, I brought the Menninger Foundation from Topeka, Kansas, to the University of Washington and added video feedback. And that was the birth of cymatics. Then, 1979, I then put Mora and Intimet, German acupuncture equipment, on the forehead and was able to break a code, and really came to the realization, that'll be electromagic, the realization that it's your neurotransmitters that get you high and your immune system's response to a drug. The drug is not what gets you high. You can do crabgrass, which is 5-alpha dimethyltryptamine. You smoke it in a little glass, and your immune system goes into red alert and releases N-dimethyltryptamine. You can see where Rick Strassman took over my work in that arena when I was working in anesthesiology. It is your immune system, and these different states are unique. And where you were with your acid could have been in any one of a number of different states where you could do something there. It's not possible to do where you are right now. Consciousness itself is a dream within a dream. Lucid dreaming has more content to reality than consciousness does. And what we are doing right now is using technology to communicate to everybody one dream to another. And if you get it, you're halfway home, and death is where you wake up and you assume a body. And one of the things that opened up for me when I was doing Rex Bear a couple of years ago was this one. If you were to choose an artifact to remember Earth by, what would it be? And you chose the right one. You'd get to choose the star of your choice to complete your evolution. What would that be? And I'm going to tell you what. I chose, by the way, a clamshell. Why?
Okay.
Because I wanted to pull out my whiskers one at a time, as how primitive our razor marketing program is with how you're getting out. Good. That's how primitive we are in our marketing. It's all about money and Cyndi Lauper. You know, money changes everything.
Yeah.
Materialistic girl. Good luck with that. And
right.
Well, there's more going on here, my dear Horatio. And when I say that, I mean there is something going on that, as sugar ants in Gaia's kitchen, we don't even have a clue. Let me tell you what happened next. The third book in the thing is called Yogatronics, where I took electromagic and the diamond body, and I created my first Stargate. I did that in 1983 with 12 NASA scientists, and we went to Mars. We never got to the surface.
Right.
But
so this is all the stuff I wanted to talk about, by the way. And I was
one thing. We have now, NASA has recently discovered the same geometry I used in 1983 on Saturn. What does that mean? It means our solar system is a life form. And if you don't think NASA doesn't want to know where that wormhole goes, I'm not kidding.
I know you're not. No, I know you're not. So so you're very good at bringing in stories, and like you said, you have a circular kind of mode of thinking. So you had the first.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You had the first part of your life that was involved because you were recruited into the military, into NASA, into different programs.
Well, they started keeping an eye on me right from the get.
I'm sure they are. So once you moved from that turning point in your life, when were you always into magic? Were you always into those things?
No.
That all came later.
Well, anything occluded, you think that's going to stop me from trying to figure out what's going on?
No.
Well, then there it is. Read it and weep. And magic with a C is hair in your pocket, sleight of hand.
Right.
Okay? And magic with a K, sleight of mind, where you use your belief system as a tool to accomplish your purpose, because there are worlds of you that did not hear this broadcast that are happening right now. That's in the Proton Cloud, the study I'm doing with 2 Russians to take my holographic universe and update it to the multiverse. And the multiverse, there will never be, in this state of consciousness, a theory of everything. We're not getting closer to the truth, because chapter 8 in the non-local mind, which was the 5th book in the series, in the holographic universe, talks about chapter 8, the mind's eye, where imagination is reality. And here's the thing that comes out of that. Our children are they're born intelligent, and they dumb them down to become us. Knowledge, remember, Castaneda, is illusion.
Yeah.
Newsflash. Okay. With that said, our children are probably our single most important natural resource.
Absolutely.
And why would we want them to send them to school to become us?
Yeah,
it's gifted. I know the difference.
I've actually heard that if children in their younger state are exposed to different languages, it does something with the receptors that they can learn a multitude of languages, but it's only when they're subjected to single ones that they start to degrade, right? So here's the thing. I want to stop for 1 second, because you're so knowledgeable and you understand how everything connects and relates and what we don't know, right? So I just want to read the intro or the contents of this book here, because I really want people to go out and buy your books and understand that the way you organize your information in your books is fantastic, and it makes it a lot more approachable, because you build these kind of metaphorical thought sort of kingdoms to organize the information, right? So within this, the contents of power tools, you have the first one being the cordyceps sinensis, HEAA, hybrid, and transfer factor. So I'm in mycology. That's what I do for a living out in the Okanagan in BC. And cordyceps sinensis is one of the most complicated types of mushrooms and fungal species.
It has
And it's
polysaccharides and beta glucans. What are sugars? And polysaccharides are sugars that are real complex, and
yes,
beta glucans. And polysaccharides are long sugars with more than 100 oxygen molecules. And your body can't get enough oxygen. And when I ran that through a jet engine at Mach 4, I knocked it down to 400 nanometer, which means that so you had an abscess tooth. If you take an antibiotic to clear this, it goes into the gut. You only get 28% from the digestive processes, and it murders everything on its way up. And finally, within about 2 weeks, your abscess is gone. However, if you took that hybrid cordyceps I did and you put it as a nanometer, as a single grain on the top of your tooth, the abscess is gone in 2 hours because that small particle falls through the cell wall like an asteroid through our solar system. And the oxygen, as it's breaking down, goes right directly to ATP in the cell, which is your little quark gluon plasma, which is what turns on your immune system.
Right. And so within that, that is why these sugars are so amazing and why mushrooms are so amazing is because they're very immune modulating.
Yeah, there's psychedelic, there's gourmet, and pharmaceutical.
Yeah, nutraceutical, right, is what we call it in the industry now because of the, you can't call it medicine for some reason. So within that, that's one of the chapters, and that's the start of power tools, which is interesting because this is, mycelium and fungus as a kingdom in general are a huge key to our health and our wellness. And back to earlier in our conversation, you were speaking about the neurotransmitters, right? Neurotransmitters are formed in the gut, right? Yeah.
The largest life form on Earth is a mycelium mushroom in the Blue Mountains of Oregon. And the third largest life form on Earth is a second agaricus mushroom up in UBC. Mm-hmm. And the second largest is an aspen grove down in Telluride. Now, I'm going to suggest mycelium in the hierarchy of mycorrhizae is the brains of Gaia.
Boom. There, he said it, ladies and gentlemen. So within that's
so important for your health.
It is, and I think we're gonna have a mushroom or have an episode just on mushrooms in the future too, if you're up for it. But so within again power tools, people, we got biofeedback and brainwave training as the second chapter. Third chapter is breath control, virtual audio.
That's Robert Monroe and brain drivers, because when you put 40 cycle in this ear and 48 cycle in that ear, it brain drives you right down to 8 cycle. And now you can reprogram yourself. Who's more important, your daughter or your sister? And supposing you do a chunking and you find out your sister is more important than your daughter and you want to change it, that's what a brain driver can do. And you can reprogram yourself using your belief system as a tool.
Right.
And yeah, that's chapter.
Because that's what your next book is, right? Like how to use the ritual use of metaphor, and that's what you've been working on, right?
Yeah, well, I've got a lot of books. I've got 147 further unfinished.
Right. So again, this is an old one, but just so people understand too that these are the types of things. The next one's belief systems, change of values, as we were just discussing. The next one is ESP, self-hypnosis. The next one is archetypal encounters, mythical living, which I think is very important for altered states and what you run into as you go.
Well, that's The Modern Alchemist, and you ought to see my new book, The Magical and Ritual Use of Metaphor. It's a book on tarot where you're not using it to fortune tell. What you're doing is to break down the various storyboards, archetypal storyboards going on you to discover who you are uniquely different from someone else. And each one has an ending. Like Persephone having to go to hell each year would be a kid taking drugs once a year because he's depressed at Christmas. And if you don't like the ending, you do ritual as a celebration of a myth to change the movie. That's what my book on tarot is about.
And that actually brings me into this quote that you have in the workbook for the Off the Grid one. It says, "Things always work out in the end. If things are not working out, it is not yet the end. Not yet the end."
Right?
So
I always try to leave it with a positive attitude because you are in control of the stream. You have been programmed to not believe that.
That's right. That's right. So next one was frequency studies in brain entrainment, which is again a lot of what you're talking about. And then the final chapter is an ontology of mystical states and free will.
How do you tell the difference between free will and true will? Man only has true will. To have free will, we would have had full disclosure. We don't.
Right. So into disclosure, because I love what you brought up about krill being a tall gray, right? So
their bodies are arbitrary. What color do you
right.
want?
So within that, I'm curious because you often speak about this, or you've even spoken about this on other podcasts, which in briefly. But I wanted to get a little bit more of the emotional factor because you've lived such a rich life. You've had psychedelic experiences. Apparently you've been through Stargates. You've worked with NASA. You've been behind the veil, so to speak. What kind of feeling or what impact did that have on your life, experiencing the presence of a being of that sort?
Everything is alive. In the world I encounter, I look at it as living entity. For example, the forest up in UBC with this mushroom.
Right by me, yep.
It's like a giant crystal. When I did my master's in solid state physics on event horizons and precursor waves, when an event occurs on a crystal, that's EK center to VK. I mean, there are color centers to VK centers where there are lattice things that happen. And when it happens at one point of the crystal, the other side of the crystal knows it instantly. And did you know that the forest up UBC acts exactly like a giant crystal because of the mycelium?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
Yeah, how is there this relationship that one change here can
when a forest fire is starting at this end of the forest, the trees at the other end of the forest down here already know that and are prepping for an event. It's a beyond time. It's like the whole thing is one moment. And that has to do with our concept of white and black holes. That has to do with the fact that our soul is a binary, just like our solar system, just like our galaxy has a white hole at the other end of a black hole. And Nibiru, when it blocked Betelgeuse, we're talking about things that science doesn't quite get. Back in November, Nibiru, now you got to realize this is something that goes through every 2,000 years, into our solar system. Just coincidentally blocked Nibiru, blocked Betelgeuse when Betelgeuse had an event. Boom. It didn't go supernova, but it did a thing. And that shock wave hit Earth June 1st. And that's why we have the weather that we're having. What's going to happen next is the grid, and then next Mount Rainier and the San Andreas.
So we'll get into that too. So just so you know, I'm gonna have to pause for 1 second and upgrade my Zoom so we can go about another 20-25 minutes, and then we can take some of this knowledge on the metaphysical side, and we can go to Christian and just sort of relate to how this knowledge has turned into like applicable knowledge that you can use in survival skills and how your guys' work did. Absolutely.
Your food.
So just give me 1 sec. I'm gonna just pause the recording. I'm gonna upgrade my account and we'll keep going. All right, so we're back from a little quick break. We're back here with Dr. Richard Allen Miller and Christian Beck. And so as we found so far in this intro episode, just kind of going through Rick's experience in life and some of his skills and his knowledge, and again, things that we can barely wrap our heads around as far as disclosure and understanding that we're not alone and there's consciousness throughout, pervading all parts of Earth and the universe, right? So, and beyond. So you guys got together at some point in, was it the 80s, the 70s?
Yeah, I'm going to change seats with him.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Wow.
So you got the Power Tools books because we're focusing on this, and I hope to get more of your books, Rick. But you had Rick do a workshop with you guys, a survival workshop. So
Yes,
how was that? What was the experience like? What did you learn? Talk to me.
Okay, so Rick would do these workshops with Matt Stein, and the two of them combined, great compliments. Rick's way of communicating and providing study tools and
Hmm.
correction was a lot different than Matt. But both of them together gave you like really practical, in the moment solutions to problems. And the first time I encountered Rick was on Coast to Coast Radio with John B. Wells, and they were addressing Fukushima and just the hopelessness of that situation.
They fired him after that interview.
It was
That was
groundbreaking.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he started his caravan to midnight because the next week I had 6,000 work orders, and Nori thought that John B. Wells had too many listeners.
but
Oh,
the
wow.
thing was, it wasn't just doomsday, because this still could be an extinction event, but
Yeah.
also what Doc Ram offered was a viable solution. And you mentioned earlier the buckyballs and the C60 as a way of treating any toxic ingestion, of radioactivity, radioactive molecules or things in your system that can make us sick.
Right.
And but he also brought in, like you said before, humor, metaphor, a way of storytelling, and also a way of footnoting. He's not just making this up and
Absolutely.
he always footnotes in speech in real time
Yeah,
where
and
where this derived. And
absolutely.
so there you go. And if you get one of his books, I was just telling him earlier, I said, just reading the book about the holographic universe,
Hmm.
it's like each page is a conversation. I feel like I'm talking to Rick. It's not like I'm reading and having to concentrate. It's like
That's right.
you put it right there. So
Yeah, I think he understands the living component of language and how to kind of keep that conversation and that dialogue relationship going, right? And that's why I've been so drawn to his work and to finally doing some interviews and stuff. So, as far as when you were doing this workshop, was it around like the workbook, like this type of stuff, the off the grid 30 days, like water, food, how to deal with what else do we got in here? But yeah, go ahead.
go bag, and realize that there's a physical go bag, but there's also this go bag up here. And this
Okay. Yeah.
Doc Ram really took over and said, the inducing and the ESP and all that stuff needs to be in charge of the situation so you can respond organically and in the moment. And there's a way to increase that 400 fold, correct? And
Well, that's what IQ is about. It's
so
adaptability.
but it's also using the gut brain as well. And he puts you in touch through these tools, through these exercises, the workbook, the seminars. We actually did little training sessions, where he walked us through how to perceive and make some kind of in the moment judgment that could save your life. That could be the
Right.
difference between life and death and going down the wrong path and harming yourself or creating more danger. Whereas,
Yeah, you're shooting your own foot in
well,
Yeah, just spiraling into emotional, getting into like a tribal state, not being, because something that Rick said to me on the phone too was that something about your neighbor. You can't do it alone. You need your community. You need to have people watching out for you, right?
can't cover everything. Someone's got to be watching your six. That's the deal.
Some of the tools that I've been using that he preaches a lot, and I kind of hear it as gospel, not a religious man, but as far as applying it to life, is the dream journal, because that's
Mm.
our dreams. And what's the other one?
Well, you need to find
Yeah.
all your saints in history have stressed the importance of meditation.
Meditation, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Train your mind. I did that in 1979 when I met Sharon Singh, and I became a satsangi, meditating 2 hours every day since 1979, and then keeping a daily diary where you develop a language where you're talking to yourself.
Wow.
That's what a diary is about.
So you've been meditating 2 hours a day since the 70s.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So okay. So did you guys, as far as like being kind of a mili or being in the military or in the Navy, whatever proportion, was there like physical exercises? Was this more of a discussion? Was it like trying to get kind of a visual?
My ears. Yes, I can wiggle my ears.
Yeah, just as far as when you guys did these workshops. Yeah, we're not done quite yet. We're not. Well, we'll switch in a second. But because I think that again, I'm trying to bring this approachability to Rick and understanding that this is someone that has such a breadth of knowledge and such an experience that can be used, right? And the meditation, the survival mindset, all of that kind of stuff. So, because as well, alongside, sorry, go ahead.
Read down every 12,000 years. Originally, they thought it was going to be in 2012, and they made a movie about it. Didn't
Right.
happen. Then it was 2054. Then it was 2035.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm suggesting none of us know precisely when it's going to happen.
Right.
But I'm guessing now it's going to be next year, early next year. Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, some of the others are going to go off on the West Coast, and the Juan de Fuca fault line is going to change everything. Just like the last time it did it, Alaska was connected to Siberia.
Right. And so this is also you're pulling off Edgar Casey, the Sleeping Prophet, some of his predictions and
yes, but
yeah.
I'm more of a physicist. I tried, there's nothing written that talks about it. Nothing survives, including your cloud that Microsoft is currently encouraging. But,
Yeah.
well, that's why I don't use Windows 11.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who owns that intellectual property? How about mRNA? Who owns your physical body if it changes your DNA? Who owns it?
If you're genetically modified, you might become under the you might be under a patent that someone owns, basically, right?
It's crazy going on, and unfortunately, I can see through some of that. Not all. I'm duped just like the rest of us, but I'm here as an advanced warning signal saying, wakey, wakey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So thank you, Christian. I really appreciate you being with us today. Maybe we can swap back and because what you've said is that there's essentially if you train your mind, you train your subconscious, you train yourself, you're able to essentially adapt and come forward and along with IQ and EQ, you're able to withstand these events and humanity has survived through many extinction events as far as I'm concerned when it comes to
Homo neanderthalis had 3 rings in the DNA. It was a more evolved species than Homo sapien. It's the one that brought man out of the rain, taught him how to make a fire. Where is that? And we have 17% in African blood, but that entity could experience 5 dimensions where man is limited to 4. Where is it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, start that wakey.
Is that so what's your take? So you mentioned the Theosophical Society, and that was something that you had, and to me that's a legacy tradition that's been handed in occult science, right?
I taught at both Rose Croix and Andrelea. Andrelea is up on Orcas Island, and I taught down in California at Andrelea. I taught courses, and in the early years.
So where does Atlantis fit into this discussion? And as far as and if you guys want to switch around, thank you, Christian. Yeah, appreciate it.
You see that big book over there?
Yeah.
The big one?
Yeah.
That's Manly Palmer Hall, a numbered first edition.
Oh, wow.
I've got libraries that I'm saved for our children.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Here, open it up for me so they can see a picture.
Yeah, just okay. Let's see there.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's find some of that because Manly B Hall, for those of you that don't know, is one of the most profound educators on esoteric material, and he had the Manly P Hall Secret Teaching of All Ages, and I think that's a very, very good starting point for a lot of people.
And the next one, by the way, look at the other one. This one is what has inspired me to write my autobiography. This one,
that's going to be a good read.
This one is extremely rare. This is by Giger that came up.
Oh.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, it's numbered.
Oh wow. Is that the guy that did Alien?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you start with Aleister Crowley, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, the Baphomet, et cetera. Okay. These are the kinds of books that I have 2 storage units totally jammed with rare books like that I've been saving all my life since I started Beltane Bookstore back in '71.
Right. That's incredible. And so again, you're into magic, you're into Aleister Crowley and to different and Manly P. Hall, you know, these types of things. I'm curious on something I wanted to ask you is like he's seen as a very dark figure, trickster, you know, these types of things. Have you pierced through his kind of trickster mindset and been able to like bring forward the knowledge in more of a benevolent way?
Yeah, you're talking about Crowley?
Yeah.
Okay. First off, Crowley was different than Golden Dawn and revolutionized the concept of what magic was and what it was not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to change it even more because Phyllis Seckler, Mildred Burlingame, and Helen Parsons Smith were my teachers when Grady McMurtry ran OTO. And when Grady died, they offered me to be caliphate for the OTO. And I turned it down because I didn't want to run a magical order that was mostly inhabited by a bunch of young kids trying to rationalize their use of drugs. My path is different. So they gave it to they gave it to a guy at OTO in New York Lodge, and he moved it to Berlin, and it's not like it was. But I do and am teaching my new webmaster my forms of magic and Order of the Silver Star, of which I had publication in Class B. I write like Aleister Crowley and did in a continuum with Phyllis Seckler. And I'm going to put those up on my website shortly. That's the Order of the Silver Star, which is the inner workings of OTO, not the external parts. And
that's fascinating.
It is, because lodge work is not, it has always been a secret because the power is in the secret and the secret is the power. But that's a bunch of horseshit. For me, when you can change knowledge into wisdom, remember the 4 enemies of man by Castaneda? When I helped Simon and Schuster ghostwrite Tales of Power, there was fear, power, clarity, and what I'm currently experiencing, old age.
Yeah.
Don't do anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta have it. Black lives don't matter. That was to polarize us. What matters is humor.
Yes, and to speak to that of course is a joke. Like, of course, humans matter under one banner, but of course, the movements that get co-opted and the money doesn't go to who it's supposed to go to. That doesn't matter.
The reason I don't have any money right now is because how did that song go? I wonder where all the money went. I'm addicted to love. It is ownership. Ownership is enhanced when shared with another. It's not about having something. It's about being able to share it.
Oh, man.
That's where the real value comes in on something and why it's important over something that isn't. And so money was never a priority for me. That's Robert Plant. Who was the saying? I wonder where all the money went. I'm addicted to love. And he has 3 models playing robots. They look like Robert Palmer.
Robert Palmer. So let's as we're building this out in this series that I want to do is that you're extremely bright. You think differently than the average person. You are a physicist, a polymath, all these things. Then you left. You've been a book collector. You've been an esoteric scholar, essentially. And then you've also been. I also wanted to touch on your martial arts training, and I know you always are wearing your hat and the dragon elements and the circular. I've heard you speak about that. What's your martial arts background and what goes on with that?
In the 40s. Mom worked Indochina theater, and so she put me in Buddhist missionary schools. I was more Northern Shaolin, and I was raised Caucasian, and because I was white, in the Philippines, it wasn't one-on-one like it is, bullies and their big bully, that. It was, they hoard on you like monkeys did. And in 1953, my Sifu took 2 monkey sticks, which I had to use to go into play in the jungles, and he put a chain between it, and I was able to hit a monkey. They 5 or 6 of them would get ready to hoard on you, to eat you. And I slapped him in the jaw, and what happened next was a meme went through the whole jungle where they no longer attacked children because they couldn't figure out how I could reach that far. And when I came to the United States, that's a true story. And then when I came to the United States, I was 3rd grade. My dad put me in John Leong's studio in Seattle, where he had Bruce Lee, Skip Ellsworth, Fred Williams, and me. And Fred was this big Black Panther that there's no way anybody could take him. I mean, what you did is you had to stay out of his way until he got tired, then you could go in and take him. Because weight made a difference. In high school, I've never been in a fight outside of a ring, except one time in the first day of high school when I was in 3rd period coming out of the showers from, PE, and I was naked, and this bully came up, he's a big giant guy, and he's, oh, you're a kid guy, and I looked up at him, didn't say a word, and you don't look so strong to me, and he hit me in the face, bam, and I just kept looking at him, and when he laughed and started walking out, I picked up a baseball bat, and I broke his head open.
Whoa.
And I was expelled the first day of high school, and he got me out in the parking lot and lifted me with one arm, and I just looked at him and I said, you better do a good job or I'll get you again.
So why didn't you just use hand to hand? Why did you go for the bat?
Because I couldn't take him front on.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah.
Bottom line, the guy was twice my size.
Okay. Yeah.
I could hit him as hard as I could and it wouldn't mean anything. That's why they break weight.
Right. So you're trained in so it's Shaolin.
Shaolin. I do Hung Gao, and then when I boxed on the U.S. team in Peking, I used Pakwa as a Thai form, like switching boxing.
Right, left to right. Okay, yeah. I've had a little bit of an experience with boxing and training and stuff, and I'm a kind of I wouldn't say I'm a student, but I definitely have a deep interest and try as much as I can, and bow staff and nunchucks, stuff like that. So
it's not to have a confrontation, to
yes.
understand that we see things differently, and that's what made us God's favorite.
Right. Yeah. So within your again, like you said, I can't say this enough. Just such a rich life in so many different avenues, and I've found at the top of intelligence and education, the people that are truly PhDs, like the philosophical doctorate, the ones that are adding to the knowledge of mankind. You find that there is this connection between magic, study, and intellectual.
In my opinion, I'm going to try to bring it into a true form of study in physics.
Right.
What paranormal was about. Paranormal was the so-called unexplained.
Right.
That's been my goal. And then I went into agriculture, another whole, I like being a farmer. I grow things. That's what we're about.
Absolutely. So I think we'll wind down for this particular episode. This has been wonderful. I'm so glad that we could have Christian with us as well. I'm gonna do a share screen, and I want to show them what books you have out there and what's going on in that department. So let's see.
I can send you anything you need for your video part of it. I've got like the Stargate. I can show you what that looks like.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great if you have that available.
Let's go to share screen, and if you can record this. Where is my share screen? Right there. I just did share screen.
Yeah, because I think in future episodes I'd love to get more into that and kind of like a step-by-step this whole experience and really kind of open it up and magnify it from like, what does it look like? Where were you at? What kind of...
It's a visualization you do in your mind's eye, because space is toxic. When Edgar Mitchell went through the Van Allen belt and just around the moon and back, He lost 10 years of his life. He'll never have children. I mean, we're talking about serious, no way to stop a neutrino. How do you stop a neutrino going through? You know, I mean, it's like, it's impossible. So space isn't real. It's a construct like time. It's a duration of consciousness. It's the ways you measure something. And what I did is I created a new concept of space where I was able to do a wormhole. And it turns out that stargates are easier to go further away than next door. In other words, it would be more difficult for me to go into my closet than it would be to go to the Mars.
So is this like remote viewing? Is this different?
Remote viewing and astral projection are the same thing, where astral projection is inside a magic circle and remote viewing is outside. Remote viewing could be seen like a shaman prototaxic mode of consciousness, where it takes its consciousness, places it in to the eye of an eagle and sees what the eagle sees.
Right.
The problem is something's also looking back.
The abyss, right? It can look back. There's always a two-way.
My teacher didn't do studies in remote viewing like Targ and Puthoff. One moment. Bend, Oregon. Watch this. This is B. Chuck. Hello.
Right.
Hello. And I want the world to hear this. Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Looking for Richard Miller.
Who's calling?
Yeah, this is Mark with the Hoffman Research Group here in Oregon. We're conducting a brief public opinion survey in your local area. Is this Richard Miller?
Yes, but I'm on Zoom and you're being recorded. Isn't that interesting? Because I didn't ask you to call me. Thank you.
Boom.
Oh, I'm tired of it.
Yeah, that's weird that they asked for you by name and then they also want some survey.
Recording that just rolls over you.
Yeah. Well, so this has been a great episode. If you have that screen share of the diagram, we could do that, and then I'll show your books to start, and we'll end on that for the first episode.
Okay, so we did. Wait a minute. Share screen. You need to share screen. You need to undo me.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I'm going to share. Now, I'm going, oops, whoa. Okay, I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to drop, I can't. Okay, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to documents. The reason I'm doing this, I want to show you something.
Sure.
Okay, documents. I'm coming down. I'm going to open that up. Okay, I'm going to books. These are how many new books I have not yet finished.
Oh, wow. I saw one, Absinthe, Dragons.
How about MDMA? How about mind control? How about native plants? So that's one that's a new small family farm. These are books that are, how about here's one called the Go Bag. I want to show you the Go Bag. That's one that's almost ready to go right now. The Go Bag.
Sure.
Look at all of that, finals, starting to outline, draft, blah, blah, blah. And when I go back to, for example, pictures, draft one, list, Go Bag one. When you open this up, you have all these pictures I'm going to put in. That's my Go Bag. It's an Arapaho design. And what I do is I do pictures of what's inside it. So that's squaw candy that all I need to eat is one piece of that every day. A little piece of that's enough for 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Going, that's what you get in your Go Bag. And you got lights for volcanoes. You got a playing deck of different native plants.
Wow.
You know, okay, that's my Go Bag. And I just, there's my knife, a little skinning knife for fish.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Other better knife, you know, for what I need. These are all in my Go Bag. Survival tip playing cards. There's an eagle bone whistle that the Northern Cheyenne gave me for pain.
Wow.
Okay, all down. That's one book I wanted to show you. But those are the books I'm writing. All of these books, and we go down to the diamond body.
Okay.
That was the book I wrote. That's the last one out. And we go to finals. And we go to videos. And we go first to Saturn's moon. I'm not going to bother you with that, but we're going to show you what a stargate looks like.
Oh, wow. It's like hexagonal.
Okay, in your mind's eye, but the way you do it, the way I, in my book, describes that is that's how you do it. Stargate. That is a real Stargate. Don't look at it very long. It'll take you somewhere.
Okay. Well, I don't want to go to Saturn.
Okay, that's what I wanted to show you there, that I haven't even bothered showing people other than related papers and the finals. Oh man, full cover, like the cover.
Wow. Yeah. So, because I see there's the Kabbalistic tree there, and I know that you've shown me about the dodecahedron, that there's if you take.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's why buckyballs and all the rest of it. And by the way, what I did, it was the Monroe papers. That's just the diamond body and all the different things. Hexagonal, Saturn myth of black cube, blah, blah, blah. But I wrote these things 20 years ago.
That's fascinating. So let's pause on this for now.
Got to see the ones I have on mushrooms.
Oh yeah, and that's the one that my good friend's very interested in, and I know you had the mushroom handbook as well at one point.
Magical mushroom handbook was high times. Then I did gourmet mushrooms, where I was marketing 100,000 pounds of matsutake into Vancouver, where Top Slicer, Korean, was shipping them into Japan, and then I went into pharmaceutical mushrooms, which is
right. Yes. So let's stop the screen share on your side. And then, so this is your website. So for those of you out there, richardalanmiller.com.
It's being changed as we speak.
Nice. So we have, so again, we went a little bit everywhere today, which I like, because we can kind of show where we're going to go in future episodes. So we have Brain Drive, Diamond Body, as we just saw, Non-Toxic Farming Handbook, Sacred Geometry, Mandala Coloring Book. That's fun for the kids or adults. ESP Induction, Non-Local Mind Holographic Universe, Modern Alchemist. Then here's the Power Tool set. This is the one that I purchased, which has been very valuable.
That's a 3-book that was earlier. Then I have a 5-book. That's the 5-book series. And then of course there's Stress Management. That's workbook 5.
There's more.
And yet Encyclopedia, Alternative Agriculture. That's 9 volumes. Those are the originals. That was Legal Highs originally, and then I did one on aphrodisiac. And they're in a bunch of languages, etc., with intertraditions. But what I've done also, Project Paraphile was the first public demonstration of an AI that I did in 1972 at Claremont.
Wow. Yeah, I'd love to do an episode on AI with you as well in the future. So
book form or whatever. And then the potential of cash crop, herbs. And then I have on this one on comfrey, there are 360 PDFs like that on how to grow some of the different top herbs and spices.
Wow. So as you can see out there, viewers, as we're doing this intro, there is so much esoteric and metaphysical stuff, as well as just very applicable farming. It looks like large scale commercial farming, as well as just getting started and doing like home gardens.
20-acre farms.
Right. And also, did you have one on foraging and stuff like that as well?
Native plants of commercial importance, 50 chapters. Healing yourself was when we had Open Door Clinic. I was getting out of the mafia by doing 6 months of work release. And we started 911 with the Seattle Fire Department, called Flying Squad, when that was written. And then Metaphysics 1 through 15 are the courses I taught at Harvard. They're 8-week courses. I did 15 different courses in metaphysics.
Wow.
And each one includes, oh man, you have no idea, all the books you get, PDFs and so on. I try to make it a good deal so that You find my.
It is a good deal. These were only 30, these three were $30 American, right? US, right? So it's a really, really good deal. I can't stress enough. It's almost too good of a deal that people probably are like, is this for real? Is it really this much value? I can assure you that there is. So,
I
so I'll
always
stop the share.
told me to leave things better than I found them.
Amen. Yeah. So, Rick Miller, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Christian Beck, thank you guys so much for being with me today on the Only Mystics Journey podcast. And I wanted to say this too. The reason that I say Only Mystics Journey is because I believe in the mystical definition being inspiring a sense of spiritual mystery, awe, and fascination. And that's what I want the audience to do is just have that childlike wonder. Although there are potentially events coming that will really challenge our species, it's not too late to start learning, to get a go bag, to start looking into metaphysics, getting to know yourself in the process. And ultimately, we had a great time today. So thank you guys for being with me, and we'll definitely be doing this again soon. So cheers, yes. Show them your oh yeah, naval intelligence. Boom. In God we trust.
And the triangle.
Yes. The eye in the triangle.
That is not this one. This one was this one was my great grandfather's when he was a lodge master at Waldorf in the 20s. And there's
Wow.
Here, I'll do it this way.
Yeah.
This one, here.
There you go.
Mars and Saturn. That's male and female, culminating towards judgment. And it's lapis lazuli because that's the great I am in the lodge. It's a blue lodge, and then there's other stuff on the other side.
Wow.
Different than the one on Navy intelligence. With in God we trust, all others we monitor.
Yes. So just to leave with that, you also have another one of those hats. What are those hats called?
Oh yeah, one with had a dragon on it. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the form I did, Hangao, dragon.
Hangao.
Everything
Right.
is in a circle so that you're holding a ball. Flap.
Right. The energy ball. Yeah. Fascinating. Well, thank you guys.
Right shoulder, that energy goes through my body and right through their rib.
Right.
Boom.
Just like defending and attacking at the same time, right?
Back off like that. Come in, bam.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much again. Once again, my name is O.M.J Junkins, aka Dan Jenkins, on the host today, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for tuning in.